everyone, welcome to another video. Today I'm gonna do a review for Monstress by Marjorie Liu and illustrated by Takeda. Fun fact, before I read this graphic novel, I had actually never read a graphic novel in my life before. And one day I was like, I really feel like reading a graphic novel because I'd never read one before. And I was kind of in a reading slump and I thought maybe a graphic novel can get me out of this. At that point I thought I'm gonna buy it, and so I did, and so I read it. The plot of Monstress is a little bit difficult to explain. Basically it takes place in this fantasy world that is kind of a mixture of steampunk and Eastern Asian culture. And in this world you have humans and half humans, half animals who have special magical abilities, and these are called arcanics. And our main character is one of these arcanics, and her sister is captured by humans, so she decides to infiltrate into human territory to find her sister. And the story starts with her being captured by these humans when they find out that she's an arcanic. And an extra interesting plot line of this story is that our main character also has an ancient monster living inside her that chose her as its habitat when she was a little kid. So throughout the book she's also struggling with that monster in her because it makes her want to eat people. Because this monster inside her kind of slightly takes over her mind and makes her incredibly hungry and crave human flesh, which sometimes turns her into a cannibal, you know, casually. So I really enjoyed this book, especially because all of the plot elements that I just explained are just things that I tend to love a lot. The world is incredibly intricate. I haven't even explained everything just now, so it did take a while for me to get into. There were many moments where I was very confused because there are so many new words that you have to get adjusted to. Also, our main character, absolutely love her. I love those types of main characters that struggle with some darkness inside them, and I thought that this book handled that very well. It wasn't one of those books where it was like, oh, our main character has a dark side to her, but she's actually really great and never does anything bad. No, this character does some really shitty and cannibal-y things. I do have to say this book is pretty gory at some places, and especially because a graphic novel gets pretty graphic with the blood and the gory things. I personally don't mind. I love a little bit of horror, but if you don't like that, then maybe be a little bit careful when going into this. One of the things that made me really love this story is that it had so many different interesting characters that were all very well developed. They all had really beautiful design. All the characters are very nicely designed, and they also all have their own story and subplot that you follow, even the villains. And another fun thing about this book is that almost the entire cast is female, and it has an incredibly diverse cast of women with all sorts of different skin colors, sexualities, body weights, just very diverse. And I really like that because, you know, when you're reading YA books and every single main character is like this skinny small person and you're just like, you know, there are other women. The only negative point about this story is that it was a little bit too complex at some points, as in I don't think it was explained very well. A very important explanation part was given at the very end of the book, and I would have liked to see that a little more at the front of the book because that would have made a lot of things a lot clearer. I also would have liked it if our main character had been slightly more developed, because right now she was a little bit too much of this emotionless, dark main character, and I would have liked to see a little bit more nuance to her character because no one is ever just purely emotionless and cruel and strong, you know. I would have liked to see a little more other character aspects that she had. If you have never read a graphic novel, I highly recommend just pick this one up because it really reads like an awesome epic fantasy novel. Because honestly, if this plot had been in a book, I am 100% certain that that would have become a bestseller because the plot and the story is so well developed and very well done. So I recommend it. And that was my review. Let me know if you've read Monstress and what you thought of it, and I will see you soon in another video. Goodbye!